Okay, it is Tuesday, December 2nd, and I have been remiss in recording anything that I've been working on, and that's mostly because it's been really mundane, boring, and nobody wants to watch it. So the only thing people want to see, at least in regard to what I'm working on, is the final results. So let me at least catch you up on where I'm at. So I'm going to go inside the Quonset hut and show you what's going on. I have two projects that I'm working on. I'm kind of jumping back and forth between them. But this one here is the post that I'm going to mount the new security camera on. So it is a 4x4. This green one here is a 8-foot 4x4. And I've cut a groove a little more than halfway down the center. So first thing I did was I sliced it in half with the table saw. And then I routed a groove all the way about halfway down to here. And then there's a hole to the outer side of it, only on this side. And that is going to house this black pipe here, which is what the Cat 6 cable is going to run through. So this post will go into the ground to about here, about 6 inches above this hole here. So the wire will come into the post about 6 inches under the ground, run through the black pipe all the way up to here, and this continues on another like 3.5, 4 feet, which will go through this other 4x4 post. You can see on the end of that, I've got a groove cut in that. This half groove runs about halfway down this post, and that is just for the wire. And then on the other side, you'll see it's got a full square that the pipe will fit into. And this one's been sliced in half as well, and basically just screwed back together to hold it in place. I didn't paint this one because it's still really wet. This one was much drier, and I can get away with painting it. If I paint this now, the paint's just going to bubble off. It's not going to stick very well. So I am going to put up the post, assemble it all, and get the security camera installed on the top of it. And I'll just use the bare treated post here, and then later on when it dries, I'll go ahead and paint it. So that's going to go into place as soon as I get the hole dug for it. I started on it, about halfway done digging the hole. It's going to basically be about 3 feet into the ground. So this part here goes into the ground up to here. And then I'll have to run the wire from the top of the post down, out, and then to the trailer where I can connect it to the Starlink router. So I'll have to dig a little trench, probably 6 inches deep, all the way from where I'm putting this post to the house, and then up through the same, roughly the same areas where the Starlink cable comes into the trailer. All right, so that's going on. And then on the door situation, I have, let's go over here. This one over here is the door on the southern side. And it has all the pieces cut, except for a couple of little mullions. I got to cut a few more of these. I have the material for it, but I don't want to use the long ones. I'll pick up some additional 8-footers of this severe weather lumber and cut it into 3/4 by 3/4 strips. That's what these mullions are, because I want to use the long 10-footers for going all the way around the carriage doors and up along the sides of the actual doors themselves. So all of the lumber here has been cut. All of the half lap joints have been cut. The only thing that remains to be cut is the angle for this compression member and a hole for the all thread to come up through here and attach bottom and top. And then obviously when I get it all screwed into place, I'll cut these mullions to exact length and fit them in there. I have some 1/8 inch plexiglass coming that I'm going to use for the quote unquote glass up here. And I'm not sure if I'm going to double up on it or not. Probably not. I think 1/8 inch should be fine, but I'll have to cut it to fit into here, and then the mullions will just go right on top of it. I'm not going to cut the individual pieces of plexiglass to fit. It'll be all one piece, and then the mullions will just fit right over top of it. And because I have been doing a lot of rip cutting for the lumber on these doors, every piece here, this, all these pieces had to be rip cut. It was producing a whole lot of sawdust. I mean, just loads and loads of it. And it was becoming a nightmare to try and keep everything clean. So what I did was I rip cut all of the lumber for the second door. And today I cut to length all these pieces. So everything's cut to length, and except for this compression member over here. That'll be the last piece that goes in here. And the only thing that remains on this northern door is to cut the half lap joints. And that is a tedious process. So I'm just doing it a little bit at a time, because you've got to make lots and lots of little cuts here and then use the chisel to clear it out. I decided against using the router simply because it's just hard to use on this kind of lumber here. You just can't. I don't have the proper working bench environment to hold it down and to make a nice jig and get everything exactly cut correctly. So I'm using the miter saw to make a lot of little cuts that are only leaves a sliver of the wood, maybe little more than a 1/16 inch wide. Then I just break them off and use the chisel to clear it out. That seems to be working pretty well. I can't really complain about the end result. So it's pretty good, but again, it's really tedious to do it. So I'm just kind of trying to piecemeal it a little bit at a time, so I'm not just constantly making all these cuts. And I think that pretty much catches you. Oh, wait a minute, I got one more thing. I did the other day, on Saturday, I think, I cut all the aluminum pieces that are going to go on the corners of the doors to stiffen them up. I have to sand all the edges of these so the little burrs, which are like sharp as razors, don't cut me while I'm handling it. So I'll get all these sanded. These are the smaller ones. These are going to be on the upper part of the back side of the door. And then over here, I also cut larger triangles. These are going to be on the bottom half, on the hinge side, just to give it even more stiffness to the door, so it prevents sagging even a little bit more. So I'm going to overlap them, so you'll get 2 on each corner on the upper and lower hinge side of the door. The other side of the door won't get any. The stiffness really needs to be on the hinge side. So 2 of these on the lower part and 2 of these on the upper part of the hinge side of the door. So once I get these sanded, and I'll probably put a coat of paint on them just to protect them a little bit, that's my next task, and also cutting the half lap joints for this door. So once all that is done, I'll start to actually screw the doors together and start to, maybe think about putting the Lawan sheathing on the top of them, and we'll go from there. All right, I think that pretty much catches you up over the past 3.5 days, and hopefully I won't be remiss in recording tomorrow or the next day. So, all right, I'll talk to you then. Bye. All righty, it is Wednesday morning, December 3rd, and I had to do a quick video on this because I wanted to show you at least how nasty it is to try and clean up these pieces of aluminum that had all this old paint on them, especially the heavy drip lines. I don't know what they were doing, but somebody spilled paint on them and you can see like where it just ran down. Nobody smoothed it out. They just let those drip lines dry on there for years and years. And I spent probably a good hour and a half yesterday using the paint stripper on these, trying to get those lines off. And they still did not come off. Like most of the other stuff came off, almost anyway. And I spent a good hour and a half scraping away with the chisel, and I still didn't really get it as clean as I wanted it. So I let it soak overnight here with all this paint stripper on there. And wow, what a difference in the morning. When I came down here, I used just used the same tool. It's an old chisel, but it's not very sharp. It's dulled, which is fine. It's perfect for scraping things. And those lines of paint just came right off. I mean, they just, no problem at all, with very, very little effort. So if you're having problems getting paint off of something, and the paint stripper doesn't seem to be working, let it sit like at least 12 to 14 hours and then come back and try it again, because honestly, I did not think that it was going to make much difference. I thought, after about an hour of it sitting on there and, trying to eat into the paint and soften it up, that's about all it was ever going to do. But I tell you, leaving it overnight, it makes all the difference in the world. So I've scraped all these off as much as I'm going to. I'm going to try and clean them up now, take them outside, hose them off, and then I'll sand it off, and they should be done. The other two, the big ones, really, I'll give them a quick sanding. There's really no paint on those whatsoever. It was just these two that I had to clean the paint off of, and I should be good to go. What I'll do is I'm going to do the same thing I did here. I taped all 4 of these triangles together, and I marked out the hole pattern, and I'm just going to drill them all at once so they're all have an identical hole pattern. And I also found some different screws that I'm going to use to mount these to the doors. It's a 1 1/4 inch wood screw, but it has a very flat, or not even a pan head. It's even a flatter head than a pan head. They say they have it at Lowe's. I hope they do. If they don't have those, and I'll show you when I get them, but if they don't have those, I'll just use a regular pan head screw, because I think that's a better way to fasten it to the door than just some sort of drywall screws. It'll be a lower profile on top of the aluminum here than a drywall screw would be. But we'll see if they have them. Either way, if they don't, I'll go with the pan heads, and that should be fine. All right, that's it for Wednesday morning. I'll talk to you maybe in the afternoon. Bye. All righty. It is Wednesday, December 3rd. Getting close to the end of the day. It's been cold, but not too cold. Just cold enough to be slightly uncomfortable. But anyway, let's go into the Quonset hut, see what's going on. with several things. Turn the lights on. All right, so I bit the bullet and I got all of the half lap joints cut down on the northern side door. So this is almost ready for assembly. Well, they're both almost ready for assembly. Just have to tweak the half lap joints a little bit. Sometimes they're a little too short. They got to be opened up just a little bit so everything fits perfectly on the outside. But yeah, I'm glad to have that done. Boy, it just made a mountain of sawdust, and I just cleaned it all up, and yeah, I'm glad to have it done. I did notice one thing. I'm going to have to do a little bit more rip cutting. It's these mullions for the window here at the top. I've got 3/4 by 3/4 pieces, and if you notice, you put them both on top of each other and they equal 1.5 inches, which is exactly the width of that 2x4 at the top. One of them has to be ripped down by 1/8 of an inch to account for the plexiglass that's going to slide in there. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of rip cutting on these guys just to get that plexiglass to fit in there evenly with each side of the door. Not too bad, I guess. Anyway, let's go over to here. You saw this morning that mess that was these aluminum triangles. At least 2 of them were. Well, I got them all cleaned up, scrubbed off, and they are sanded on both sides, so it should take paint pretty well. And I've got them all duct taped together, and then the whole pattern mapped out for how I'm going to screw them to the carriage doors. So again, these are the bottom, on the bottom hinge side, and that's the top on the hinge side. Two on each side. They're going to be layered. 2 on the same side of the door. And the outer part of the door will get none. It'll just get the Luan sheathing. And then on the inside, you'll get 2 of these on the bottom corner and 2 of those on the top corner for each door. Just thought I'd, make it a little stronger by doubling up. And the problem is I don't want to put them on each side because then I got to deal with the Luan not being flat to the door itself. So I'm going to have to cut the Luan on the inside for these triangles here. I don't care so much about the inside. I really want the outside to look nice. The inside I can live with looking at some aluminum and Luan combination on the door. Then I found out, I started to look at my security camera, and I realized that it has to have power run to it as well. I thought I had ordered one with a solar panel that I could mount on the top of the post, but apparently I didn't. They don't even seem to have one. They've got solar panels with the Wi-Fi version, but they don't have a solar panel with the wired version, which I'm not sure I quite understand why. I looked for separate solar panels that you could hook up to it. Probably could do it. I don't really want to get into, making my own solar panel with some sort of electronic device that converts the power just to exactly what this camera needs. I'm just going to go with the manufacturer's product, and I'm going to run a 120 volt power through the same, it's this one over here, it's through the same black pipe that's going to be inside the post, and I'll just hook up the adapter that they give you as part of the security camera kit. And I checked both the Cat 6 cable and the 16 gauge extension wire will actually go through that pipe without a problem. So I think I'm good to go. I was thinking I was going to have to route another channel for the extra wire, but I don't think I'm going to have to do that now. Might be a little challenging getting it in that hole and then coming into the pipe, but I think I can manage it. All right, well, that's about it for Wednesday. Like I said, I'm glad to have that cutting done and not making a whole lot more sawdust. Here, you can kind of see the mountain of sawdust. This is like a trash can literally filled with sawdust. So that's how much sawdust I've made over the past week or so. Anyway, yeah, I'll be moving on to actually assembling the doors, screwing them together very soon after I just make a few tweaks to the half lap joints, and I'll be good to go. All right, talk to you tomorrow. All right, it's Thursday, December 4th. Just an absolutely miserable day here today. It's cold, it's raining like crazy, but I got a few things done, and then I decided, to hell with this, I'm just going into town and get what I need. So let's go in and just check real quickly what I got done. All right. Turn some lights on. All right. Like I said, short day today, but what did I get done? All right. I got the top sections of both doors screwed together. So these are all fastened together, and I got all of the mullions, well, not all of them, the ones that go around the inside that the plexiglass will sit against. So those are all in place. And one of the things I needed in town today was some smaller wood screws, because these things are only 3/4 by 3/4. You know, you throw a drywall screw through that, it's going to split for sure. So I got some nice thinner wood screws to keep these in place. So this is this one. This is the southern side door top. And then this one over here is the northern side door top, all screwed together. And the mullions cut for the fiberglass to sit against. And that's about all I got done today. When I went into town, I also got the screws. I forgot to bring them down, but I'll show them to you when I'm using them, that will go through the aluminum. They're like a pan head, but they also have like a built-in washer that makes it a little wider, so it really sort of grips the surface of the aluminum. They're 1 inch, I think, long. Again, just for mounting this, what I want to do is I wanted to get those screws so I could get exactly the right size drill bit for drilling all these mounting holes. And that way the screw just barely fits through it without any slop or wiggle in there. And that'll just help keep it secure even more. So yeah, that's it. That's all I got done today. I got some more of the trim lumber, this stuff here on the floor. This guy here, it's still on my car. I got to pull it off the rack, but I should have enough of that at this point to finish all around the doors, both doors, around the outside trim, plus the inner part of the door opening, that trim, plus any smaller pieces across the side. And then, you know, I'm probably going to do a decorative X on the front, just like typical carriage doors. So I think I have enough to do all of that, plus cut some more of these mullions for the top section where the plexiglass goes. Oh, and here is the plexiglass. That arrived yesterday. So I still need the tool to cut it. I used to have one, but I don't know where it is, so I ordered another one. It won't be here for a couple more days. So when I get that, I can actually cut the plexiglass to fit in here. All right, it's cold. I'm wrapping it up for today. I'll talk to you on Friday. All righty, it's Friday, late in the day, December 5th. Let me catch you up on what's going on with the carriage doors. So let's flip around here. All right, so what I have is both the, let's see, this is the southern facing door and this is the northern facing door. They are assembled, screwed together. Took a little time to get all these angles exactly square, but I'm pretty happy with the way they came out. Within a 1/16 of an inch on the diagonals. And I can even adjust it further before I put the aluminum on there. So one thing I know that this section here, which is where the plexiglass will go, that section gets moved up and basically put on the top here and screwed to the top. That will basically make this frame plus this frame exactly the height of this opening, which it's okay for rough work, but I know that I'm going to need about 3/8 inch along the bottom clearance and about 1/8 of an inch at the top. So we're talking about a 1/2 inch that has to be reduced from the total height of this frame and this frame. So what I'll do, and I did anticipate having to do this, so I'm not disappointed in having to do it. My measurements weren't wrong. I just wanted to leave things a little larger so I would have wiggle room for adjusting. But I'll disassemble this and I'll just take probably a 1/2 inch, I'll run it through the table saw, 1/2 inch off of this piece and a 1/2 inch off these end verticals, and then reassemble it. And I should be right on the mark for what I need in terms of height. So I also got this tension member installed. It's not 100% done. I need to put some jam nuts on a couple places just to lock everything into place. I'll probably even try and use a little bit of the red Loctite as well. But I've cut the all thread to length and it all kind of fits into place. So that's good. And then this here, this is the compression member that's going to be cut to go from here to here. And then they'll have to drill a hole for this all thread to actually pass through it. And there's some other little details that I'm going to have to deal with. You know, as I mentioned before, you know, it starts to go really quickly. Oh, I got the frame done. It looks great. You know, you're going to be almost done. Well, not quite so fast. There's a little thing down here that I've got to cut because it's too wide. It's a little more than 1.5 inches wide. Like I said, I got to tweak this. I got to do the other one over here. And then I got to put the metal sheets on here, the aluminum triangles, top and bottom. And I'm going to have to do the same thing, cutting down this plexiglass section. It's just it's a little off, I mean, in terms of the height. The height across here is almost exactly even between this side and that side. But what I noticed when I put this door in place here was it revealed that this 2x6 here needs to get shimmed out a little bit by about 1/4 inch. I mean, it's kind of far out. So this board, I got to pull the screws and I got to get some shims in there and push it over. And I forgot I have to do a couple screws for this top piece up into the original 2x6 that was there. I mean, I think I started to do it over here. Let's see. No, I guess I didn't. There are, well, just on the end here. So I got to put some screws in along that and tighten that up, because if you look up here, there's a tiny little gap where you can see some light coming through. So I want to tighten that up before putting the doors in. And then finally, I did get all of the aluminum pieces cleaned, and I got the holes, the mounting holes all drilled. You can see them here. And then I got one coat of paint on this and these triangles, single coat. So I want to do another coat and coat the back as well. And before I put this on, I'm going to probably paint the frame as well, just so I have a coat of paint on that bare lumber there. Not that it's really necessary, but I just feel like I want to do it just to keep things from rotting, from moisture and whatnot. So just to protect it a little bit more. And I did say that I would show you the screws that I'm going to use to mount the aluminum plate to the frame, and that's these here. That's why I was able to cut those holes. So this screw will basically just pass through that hole, and then you got that nice big head on there that'll keep it tightly fit against the door itself. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for this week. I'm excited to get this one finished up, cut this down, maybe do a test fitting of the door here, and see how it fits. And then I'm hoping by maybe Monday or Tuesday. I was hoping for Monday, but I'm now thinking probably Tuesday because of the paint situation. And one more thing is that when this compression member goes in here, I also need to get another piece that goes like this, and then I need another piece to go from that over to here for the hinge to screw into, because that hinge comes all the way out to about here. So there's about two or three holes out here that I want something to be able to screw the hinge into. And that's a really tough angle to fit a piece of wood into. So I ordered some 1.5 by 3/16 inch steel straps. And what I'll do is I'll cut the piece to fit in here, and then I'll put the straps on the end. I'll screw it in the end on both sides, and then I'll screw the strap in to this vertical and to the cross member. So there won't really be any screws going through into that. I mean, you could, they call it toe nailing or toe screwing in this case, but I just want to do something a little bit more secure, and that'll give that hinge in the middle something really solid to bite into when I screw it on the door. So that's just another little tweak that has to get done. And I'm thinking about the security camera post and how I'm going to actually do that. So I've got some ideas for making a little like platform that shields it from the rain, and then it'll allow water to run off the top and protect what comes out the top. I'm actually going to not have the Cat 6 cable and the 120 volt cable come out the top. I'm going to have them come out the side, and then I'll mount like a single socket outlet for the AC converter or adapter to plug into. I'll use one of those outdoor ones that's completely sealed, so it'll be protected from the weather, and then there'll be like a roof over the whole thing just to protect it even more. And then maybe I'll just put a little plate over the top of this and put some caulk around it just to seal that hole, because nothing's actually going to come out of that hole. It'll come out the side. Actually, it'll be top and bottom is going to come out. So yeah, I got those details to work out too. But anyway, that's it for this week, and I'll talk to you next week.